There's a myth that, gangster and criminal activity are one and the same. And I get where it comes from. But you can be gangster and not engage in a criminal act. There are certain crimes that it's nothing gangster about. Rape, just sneak thieving. Like, it's nothing gangster about being a sneak thief. I remember there was an episode on Money and Violence where he said, I rob people, I don't steal. He said when you rob somebody, you look that man at his face and you take something from him and you're willing to deal with those consequences. When you steal, you hide and you sneak, and there's no honor in sneaking and stealing. And most people would say there's no honor in either. But when you come from the communities that we come from, in poverty-stricken areas, and you're trying to fend to survive, you engage in acts that most times are not things that you would normally do, put in different circumstances. So you try to have some level of honor amongst thieves, as they say, or have some level of honor within a situation that is not in itself that much honorable. And I think what we have done is we start praising criminal acts and calling them gangster. Senseless crime is just stupidity. There's nothing gangster about a senseless crime. But coming from the poverty-stricken, coming from the communities we come from, a lot of us didn't know other choices. Some of us had no other choices but to engage in certain criminal acts. But there were codes, there were levels of things that you didn't do. You didn't harm women and children. There was respect codes. There were honor amongst thieves. There was a way you dealt with an individual. If we were both engaged in criminal activity, then we kept that activity amongst us. We didn't harm people who were laymen, who were regular citizens, who didn't engage in that lifestyle. We didn't involve them in that lifestyle. We didn't prey on people that weren't involved in the lifestyle that we were in. And like I said again, for the most part, people would say that it wasn't honorable anyway, but this is all we had. Well, this was our circumference, and we learned, and we tried to put our moral compass within something that to us wasn't even the best situation. And I think what happened is people started looking at the activity we were engaging in instead of the moral fiber that we attached to it. And they start making crime the gangster part. But the crime wasn't the gangster part. It's the way you conducted yourself. Even in the worst situations, you still had some level of morality. And I think now people are losing that. No one is giving those rules. You don't hurt mothers. You don't do things to women and children. You have respect for women. You see the old lady, I don't care if we were selling drugs in front of the building, the old lady walked by, we grabbed her bags and took them upstairs. We said, how you doing? We took our hat off when we walked to somebody's house. It was just codes of ethics that we had. And it didn't have anything to do that we were doing illegal activities. We still had morals and principles. And I think now, today, people think everything is gangster that has to do with crime. And that's one of the biggest myths in the world. Gangster is the ethics and the morals that you bring to any situation. That's what gangster is. When you look at the gangster, even the Italians, the way they conducted themselves was the gangster part. They called themselves gangsters, but there were codes. There was levels of honor. They made sure their family was good. They protected their family. They conducted themselves. They looked like businessmen. They conducted themselves, and they spoke in manners, and they dealt with people in manners. But when there was a problem, they handled it differently. You understand? And they only engaged that with the people that were in the lifestyle that they were living. But I think now there's so many myths, and people being taught by the wrong type of individuals, people who have never really engaged in the real street activities and never had been taught properly. So everything is distorted. Everyone is just best man for itself. I don't care if I get caught by the police, I'm gonna tell, and that bothers me because, and they say, yo, You can't tell people about snitching. You know, people trying to save their life and you call them snitches. And I'm like, snitching applies when you are engaged in illegal activity, when you have made a conscious decision that you want to live a lifestyle because you feel like it benefits you. You have to be willing to deal with the consequences of that lifestyle. And what comes with that lifestyle is that more than likely, you will be arrested by the police. You will be facing hundreds of years. You will be facing lifetime in jail. And then what happens also in that lifestyle is that the DA will offer you a lenient sentence in order for you to incriminate someone else who's engaged in that lifestyle. And one of the rules of that lifestyle is that you have to deal with your own consequences and not bring other people into that. You know, and I hate when people say, you know, you giving people a thing, you making people seem like crime is good. People should be telling. I'm like, no, people should just not engage in crime. And anything you do, play by the rules. You're not gonna play football and be dribbling the football because that's not the rules of football. You know, the same way you don't condone somebody dribbling the football is the same way you don't tell when you engage in street life. It's the same thing. Those are rules that go with the game. If you play the game, then abide by the rules. If you don't like the game, just like you might say, I don't play football because they hit too hard. Football's not for you. But that's what happens in football. And there are people that advocate, yo, football should be abolished, people getting head trauma, and maybe they're right. But there are people who play the game. And they play it understanding that you might get hurt. And that's the same thing that happens in the streets. You play that game understanding that you might lose your life and your freedom. And if you're not willing to do that, which I advise you not to be, then don't engage in that lifestyle.